a lone knight sits frozen on horseback at a fog-shrouded crossroads. Before him, a weathered stone marker carved with an ancient warning. 3 roads diverge into darkness, the ground littered with bones. The horse shifts, uneasy. The rider does not move. This is Viktor Vasnetsov's Night at the Crossroads, painted in 1878 during the Russian revival movement, when artists excavated their own folklore for symbols the West had ignored. The painting became widely reproduced in Russian visual culture, not for depicting victory, but for capturing a universal mechanism: the paralysis that arrives when choice becomes irreversible. In this video, we're decoding Vasnetsov's Night at the Crossroads to reveal the threshold archetype. And by the end, you'll see how this same mechanism operates in your own life every time transformation demands the death of who you were. The stone follows a formula from Eastern European epic tradition. In the folkloric bylina, the inscription presents 3 paths. Right promises death, center promises captivity, left promises glory, but with a condition: the glory belongs not to the knight, but to his legend. He will die in the winning. Folklorists have found this triad across continents, not because cultures copied each other, but because the structure mirrors a real psychological fork: safety through surrender, risk through preservation, transformation through annihilation. The composition mirrors the knight's internal state. The sky presses down, low clouds, no horizon, no escape upward. The roads vanish into fog within meters. The ground is barren. This is not a place where life grows, it's a place where life splits. Look at the horse. Vasnetsov was trained in academic realism, and every muscle reads as braced, ears back, sensing more than the rider admits. The knight's posture echoes this, upright in the saddle, but shoulders pulled back, the body refusing forward momentum. Notice the bones scattered near the stone, not ceremonial burial, but residue of those who chose, or perhaps those who chose at all. Historical evidence confirms that crossroads in Slavic and Baltic cultures were threshold spaces, where the boundary between living world and spirit realm thinned. Folklore designated them as burial sites for suicides and criminals, deaths that broke community rules and had to be buried outside the village. Vasnetsov knew this. The bones are not decoration. They are a cultural encoding that tells the viewer, this decision has consequences transcending the individual. The soil is dark, almost charred, as if the crossroads itself has witnessed too many fractures. The crossroads does not simply ask which path you will take. It asks which version of yourself you are willing to sacrifice. Before we analyze further, pause. Imagine you are sitting on that horse. The stone is before you. The roads diverge. You know moving forward means choosing an identity you cannot take back. Notice what shifts in you as you hear this. Where in your body do you feel that tension right now? That tightness in your chest, in your throat, the base of your spine. This is not random. This is the archetypal mechanism activating. This is the threshold. The knight is not frozen by cowardice. He is frozen by recognition. All 3 paths are true simultaneously. The psyche does not fear the wrong choice. It fears the moment when choice reveals that the self is not singular. Carl Jung documented this in his work on individuation, the process by which unconscious fragments of identity demand integration. The threshold turns your inner conflict into a literal fork in the road. Watch how we handle these moments. We research, we delay, we make pro and con lists, but these tools don't solve the choice, they just delay it. Because the threshold isn't asking which road is right, it's asking which version of you are you willing to become. Vasnetsov painted multiple studies of this subject, but the 1878 version became canonical because of one detail: the knight's gaze. In earlier sketches, the rider looks directly at the stone. In the final painting, his eyes are cast slightly downward, not at the text, but at the space between roads. He is not reading the warning. He is measuring the distance between identities. But this pattern isn't Russian. It isn't Christian or pagan. It's structural. The Greeks called it the choice of Hercules. The Buddha faced it under the Bodhi tree. Norse mythology encoded it in word, the web of fate roads, where each choice severs all other possible selves. The threshold appears when old structures no longer contain the self. Here's how it works. The ego constructs a coherent narrative, your values, your trajectory, your story. The threshold disrupts this by presenting options that cannot coexist within the same identity. You cannot simultaneously be the person who chooses safety and the person who chooses risk. The threshold forces fragmentation. Your identity splits into incompatible versions. The psyche responds by freezing, exactly as Vasnetsov's night freezes. Not from weakness, but from recognition. Movement equals death of the old self. The night is not just Russia at a crossroads. He is you, frozen at the threshold of who you could become. The question is not which road to take. The question is, are you willing to let the old self die so the new self can emerge? This threshold will return. It always does. And when it does, you will recognize it, not as an enemy, but as the architecture through which consciousness evolves. The crossroads is not a trap. It is an invitation. So where is your crossroads right now? What sacrifice are you avoiding? Which version of yourself is waiting on the other side of your paralysis? This is one interpretation among many. It draws from Vasnetsov's documented artistic philosophy, the bylina tradition, Jungian threshold psychology, and comparative mythology. You may see something entirely different, and that perspective is part of the story. What remains undeniable is the mechanism Vasnetsov encoded into pigment and canvas. The recognition that the crossroads is not outside you. It is the cartography of your own unresolved becoming. The knight chooses, or he does not. But either way, the stone remains. The roads diverge, and the question waits.